Good evening, everyone. It's such an honor to be invited by Kathy to share a little bit of my beliefs about Lessons in Truth with you and a short synopsis from Sunday before you get into your discussion, I believe. And this book is amazing. So glad you're able to step in and do this work with Kathy. It was a class that was required when I was coming through that pre-LUT ministry program. And I actually ended up taking it 3 times. The third time I took it was with my minister, and I got to do it one-on-one with her. And the questions that would come out of it just kept taking me deeper and deeper and deeper. So I invite you to really be okay with diving in, just diving in deep. There's deep, deep, good, juicy stuff in this book. Even though the language is old, it was written in the mid 1800s, late 1800s. It is an amazing, amazing explanation of the belief system that unity abides by. So we worked on Sunday with a gentle nudge towards golden liberty. And we explored that being in bondage or being in liberty, being free, and how do we get there? And which do we want? Because it's our choice. We get to choose. And do we want to be in bondage? What do we get out of being in bondage? And then how, if we choose to step out of bondage, how do we have the faith? How do we hang on to that faith? How do we stand in that faith in such a way that we are able to maintain the liberty we find? So what I talked about on Sunday was, first of all, depending on which service you were at, you heard me talk a little bit about the gemstone topaz. And it's a yellow gem, and it actually helps in slow and solid manifestation with emphasis on connecting and accepting your life path. So I think as we look at, do I want to live a life? Do I want to be on a path of bondage, or do I want to be on that path of liberty? Do I want a life where I feel like I am free all the time? And invite you to kind of play with that a little bit. And there are 4 gemstones out of these teachings in chapter 1 and chapter 6, or depending on how old the book you read is, it may be chapter 5, but it's the chapter on faith. So there are factors that impact our thinking. And we've been taught to think in duality and separation, not in oneness. We believe what our 5 senses tell us is real, and we believe that that is real and that is the truth, but it's not always, is it? Not at all. And then we look at, as another factor, another gem, are you a slave or a master to your thoughts? And I use that example of turning the television off. I can't stand this. I don't want to listen to it. I'm going to push it away. And I'm going to turn the TV off because it's horrible. I become a slave to it, right? The TV controlled what I did. But if I go, this is not serving me listening to this all the time. What if I choose to use my time instead to read more of a historical perspective of what's going on? Or if I choose to do phone work to change an outcome in our democracy that I would like to see changed, and I turn the TV off in order to move towards that. So I'm no longer a slave to my thoughts about how much I hate what's going on, right? I am then a master creating a different situation. And our next little gemstone that we talked about after being a master or a slave to our thoughts is, how do we get to that point? How do we get to the point that we can do this on a regular basis and we don't get trapped in bondage? And Emily Cady writes in her book about finding the desire that comes from the heart. I think that's so interesting that I ran across that. The course I took, the workshop, the seminar I did up in Denver this summer, there was a whole day about finding your heart's desire. I'm going, wow, and thinking, they're all thinking this is a new term. I'm going, Emily Cady was using that in the 1850s. What is the desire that emanates from your heart? And we know that our ego is big. Our ego is strong. It's there to protect us, right? And sometimes our heart desire may put us in a situation where our brain thinks we're not protected, we're not safe. So our ego gets going, and our ego may think, well, this, and this, but that's not our desire, is it? Lots of times that's fear, or that's shame or guilt speaking. And so when we really can dig into that heart's desire, and we do that in meditation, we do that in the silence, we do that in a space, in a time where we have connection with the divine. And it may be 15 seconds, and boom, we've got it. But usually that only happens if we are doing consistent meditative work. Now, meditation doesn't mean you have to be sitting in a chair, Om position, right? Little Om or but it does mean you have to stop and you have to pause and you have to allow time to hear. You have to stop your talking. You have to stop the chatter. And so I invite you to look at that. How does that happen? In the correspondence course that Fillmore's wrote, we go apart into the stillness of divine presence, that we may come forth into the world of everyday life with new inspiration and increased courage and power for activity and overcoming. So it's worth finding meditation time. And we call that being, not doing. Can we just be? Can we be present with our breath? Can we be present with the silence? Can we be present with spirit, with God? The doing should come after. When we do it first and then we have to go back and say, oh no, what did I do wrong? It's really hard. And we get really attached to outcomes then. Yeah. So when we move from bondage to liberty, we turn to our faith. That assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And I know we've all had our faith tested during 2020. And when we use faith, that is not just that blind faith that is an instinctive trust in a power higher than ourselves, but it is more than that. When we come into an understanding faith, that is the movement of blind faith through science into an understanding faith, it becomes so much stronger. So they knew centuries ago, thousands, hundreds and thousands of years ago, back in Zoroastrian times, Zoroastrian times, that love was the answer. It comes from our heart. But now and so it was a blind faith. Just believe it. Just believe it. Your heart's got intelligence. Da, da, da. Now, through science, it has been measurable and it is repeatable. And so that is an understanding faith. We understand how we can do that. And we can really sit tight in that. So when we can move from that blind faith into an understanding faith, we have something really, really strong to stand on. So I hope you enjoy your work today. I hope you enjoy your class. I'm sorry I'm not with you. And you're in good hands. You're with Kathy Kellogg. No matter what this little note says at the bottom of my screen, I am Judy, not Kathy. But have fun with Kathy, and I will hold space for you guys tonight while I'm in my class to just have a delightful, transformative evening. Blessings, everyone. Bye-bye.